All right, guys, what's going on? So, we have a story today that has been floating around out there. Perhaps you've seen bits and pieces of it already, but we actually have a lot of information about it, and I want to bring it to you guys because it is a weird one. Just totally bizarre. Now, I want to state that while it is a bizarre situation, and you're definitely going to want to stick around to read some of these charging documents that we have here in a minute, while it's a bizarre one, it's not really all that uncommon what we're going to bring you, right? This isn't original. This is your cut and dry, uh, standard young female teacher hooks up with a male student. How many times have we seen this? I'm out of fingers and toes to count. This is like the new trend, evidently, but we are going to bring you a particular instance today, and this instance would be none other than Hailey Clifton-Carmack. She is the 26-year-old Missouri math teacher who actually fled the state of Missouri and fled into the state of Texas in an attempt to try to evade being arrested. However, she was arrested in Texas. They caught her. They extradited her back to Missouri. So now she is back in Missouri facing these charges. Now, as you can see right here, I'm on Safari. It's a big story right here. As you can see, it's definitely trending. But we actually have the charging documents and the information. The down to the nitty gritty is what we have. We have the finite details of the matter, and we want to bring them to you because it's just a weird incident through and through, and there's twists and turns that are just bizarre. So, with that being said, let's just take you directly to the charging document. So, this is the charging document right here. As you can see, it was filed on January 4th. And we'll scroll up a little bit because you can see that was her picture right there. That's a picture taken of her where she's standing in front of some sort of athletic background, presumably at the high school she taught at. But moving forward, this is her mugshot right here. We took the liberty of digitally enhancing that mugshot so you can have a better view of that. This is Hailey Carmack, like I said, 26 years old and a math teacher, a high school math teacher in the state of Missouri. So, with that, let's get right into the charging document. And as you will notice right here, you can see it starts off with stating that there are 4 criminal counts in this charging document in which they are bringing against her. The first being sexual contact with a student, the second being child molestation in the 4th degree, the third statutory rape 2nd degree, and the fourth would be endangering the welfare of a child in the 1st degree. So those are the charges. Here's the affidavit. It says on 12/7/2023, I was contacted by SRO Brian York regarding a student who had come forward to report a sexual relationship between a student and a teacher. The teacher involved was identified as Hailey Carmack, aka Hailey Clifton. I was able to speak to the confidential witness after obtaining permission from their guardian. According to the confidential witness, they learned of the relationship after the confidential victim, a 16-year-old, showed them photographs of their back with scratches. The confidential victim advised the scratches were from Hailey after the confidential victim had sex with her in the confidential witness's driveway. The confidential witness also stated they overheard a phone call between the confidential victim and Hailey. During the phone call, the confidential victim stated it was his birthday, and Hailey replied from the other end, "I'm out of state, but I can send you money, baby." During the interview, the confidential witness stated Hailey is too friendly with students and sometimes will dress inappropriately at school. When asked to describe what inappropriate was to them, the confidential witness stated she will wear tight or low-cut shirts to show off her headlights and will wear tight leggings that show off her camel toe. The confidential witness also stated Hailey has openly discussed her personal life with the class and stated she has gotten in trouble with administration for being, quote, too close with the students. Yeah, that's pretty close. On a point of notice, this did just happen after she filed, or I'm sorry, there was a divorce proceeding that led up to this. So she was divorced from her husband. We're not going to get into much of that, or maybe we will, but I think when they talk about her personal life, that's probably what they're referring to. The fact that this 26-year-old was married, then divorced, that was before this all took place. So she was divorced at the time that this was all taking place. But moving on, it says this information was verified by the superintendent of the school system, who stated that she was spoken to about it. However, no other parties other than Hailey, the principal, and superintendent knew about the discussion. The confidential witness also stated the confidential victim had told them he was the reason her divorce was pushed through, and Hailey had wanted a divorce due to her husband only wanting to do butt stuff. So, yeah, weird stuff going on here, guys. The school was able to tell me information provided by the confidential witness so far has been consistent in what he had reported to a teacher, superintendent, and to myself when I spoke to the superintendent after speaking to the confidential witness one-on-one in a private office at the school. On 12/8/2023, I returned to the schools to make contact with Hailey and seize her phone via a search warrant. Hailey handed over her phone with no issues and did not have the normal behavior of someone facing the same accusations. Hailey denied having any kind of relationship with any students outside of the school. I advised Hailey even if she spoke to students outside of the school, there was nothing illegal about it, just a school policy violation. I spoke to her about the accusations, and Hailey denied all of them and stated she has never had contact with the confidential victim outside of the school. I thanked Hailey for her time and ended the interview. I then applied for a search warrant for the contents on Hailey's phone. On 12/13/23, I served Hailey with a copy of the search warrant, and through the advice of her attorney, Charles Fromm, she would not provide a passcode for the phone. Hailey's phone was sent off to get into her phone on 12/22/23. I received an email with a PDF file from some of the content recovered from Hailey's phone. The messages recovered from Hailey's phone show a conversation between her and the confidential victim discussing their relationship. Moves forward. The sheriff's department received an anonymous tip that Hailey was leaving town to go to Texas and was going to meet with the confidential victim before leaving town to go to Texas for the holidays. On 1/3/2024, I met with confidential witness number 2 in a recorded interview room. This following is a synopsis of the interview, and the full interview will be included in the case file. Confidential witness number 2 advised me she had been over to the confidential victim's residence and had spoken with the father. According to confidential witness number 2, the confidential victim's father knew of the relationship between Hailey and the victim, as both had told him of their sexual relationship. The victim's father relayed to confidential witness number 2 that Hailey and the victim have been in a sexual relationship and have used students as lookouts while they had sex during school, and that Hailey had been over to the residence before she left Missouri to go to Texas. When confidential witness number 2 advised the father they were going to come forward with this information, he responded by telling her that they are going to do it behind my back, so I may as well let it happen. He also advised confidential witness number 2 that he would lie for his son if he had to. After receiving this information, I went and spoke to the father, who did acknowledge that Hailey had been over at their residence before leaving to go to Texas. So that's where the story gets interesting, right, guys? Because you know at this point they've bagged Hailey. You know they got her, right? But what you guys might not know, or maybe you do, is the fact that in addition to the teacher, they also charged and arrested the father of the victim. Here is the father right here. His name is Mark Cretin. They arrested him and they charged him as well. The reason they did this was because the allegation is that he knew of the relationship and he was okay with it. And you're not allowed to be okay with it. You have what's called a duty to report. And he was not meeting his duty to report that the teacher was hooking up with his son. So, because that's the case, Mark Cretin gets charged. He gets charged with, from this document I can see, 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child in the first degree. And in that probable cause affidavit, as you can see, it essentially alleges the same set of facts, that there was this relationship that took place in the driveway, in the car, wherever it happened, but it happened with the knowing of this father. The victim's father knew about it, and his reasoning, his rationale for why he would allow it was that he said that, well, even if I object to it, they're still going to do it anyway, so I might as well just accept it, right? Rather than report it, I might as well just accept that this is how it is and sort of comfort the situation and make the situation easier and just, be a, sort of be somebody who just stands by and lets it happen rather than somebody who gets involved and does anything substantive. So if that's the allegation, then yeah, right? Then you can see where that charge comes in. If he really has a duty to report, and in most states, most jurisdictions in the United States are going to have that duty to report situations like these, and when and if you fail to do that, yeah, you can get hit with a charge like that. So weird all around, guys. And again, this is a 26-year-old teacher, right? Math teacher. That was what she did. And the part that gets me that's really interesting is that when it talks about the lookouts, that there is this idea that there are students acting as lookouts while the teacher and the student are having a hanky-panky session in school. I mean, guys, come on. That is just unbelievable. And it makes you think, like, these are just the cases that we see, right? It's like for every one mouse you see, there's a dozen more you don't. It's just, is this really what's going on in the school system? Because it's just unbelievable. And this is not an uncommon thing. When I bring you a story like this, this is 1 out of 100. And we've covered topics like this before. Make no doubt about it. On this channel, we have covered situations like this before. But this is not unique, right? We see this all the time. It happens more than we would like to perhaps admit. But it happens. And it's bizarre. I don't know. Maybe we got a crisis in this country of teachers who are swinging too low, swinging underage, and that's not cool. But those are the facts, or not. Those are the allegations, as I should say. And with that, I guess we'll see where it goes. But nonetheless, certainly not an original situation. We see it time and time and time again. But those are the charging documents. We got in possession of them, and I wanted to bring them to you because it's a trending story, and those are the allegations as set forth in these charging documents. So with that, Levi Trumbull reporting, and we will catch you guys next time. Take it easy.